All right, so today we're diving into engineering lecturer interviews,
Yeah,
which is a pretty cool blend of, your engineering expertise and shaping those young minds.
it is.
So we've got like your whole prep kit here, right? We've got career guides,
Mm,
sample questions, and we'll even touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can like give you a little extra edge in the process.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this role is really fascinating.
Yeah.
It blends the practical stuff with, the theoretical exploration.
Oh, for sure.
You're not just, teaching facts. You're actually, pushing boundaries in the field with research and,
Yeah.
getting your work published.
A whole other level of impact,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the core of this deep dive, which is those interview questions.
All right.
We'll break down what they're really asking and how to make your answers really, stand out.
Yeah, you don't want to just memorize answers.
Right.
It's more about showing you're passionate, you can think critically, and that you're genuinely excited about this kind of career,
Exactly.
you know?
So first up, a question that seems to always kick things off.
Uh-huh.
What inspired you to pursue a career in engineering lecturing?
Right.
What are they really trying to get at here?
They want to know, what drives you to choose this path.
Okay.
What specific things happened to you? Who did you meet? What ideas made you think, this is the blend of teaching and research that I want?
So it's deeper than just saying, oh, I love engineering.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
You got to dig deeper. Think about a project that, totally sparked your passion for this. Was there a professor whose teaching just blew you away?
Yeah.
Those stories stick with people.
And that's where I think RoleCatcher's AI can really change the game for people.
Yeah.
Imagine a tool that can look at the job description and say, hey, these are the skills they're really looking for.
Exactly.
And then you can weave those into your answer in a way that's genuine,
It shows you've done your homework.
Right.
And you're actually interested in this particular place.
Exactly. So you're not just giving a cookie cutter answer.
Nope.
Okay, so let's say they follow up with, was there a particular mentor or professor who influenced your decision?
Okay.
What kind of example would really hit the mark there?
Tell them a story about how a mentor or professor didn't just teach you stuff,
Yeah.
but really guided you, pushed you to think differently.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they opened doors to internships or connections in the industry.
Oh, that's great.
Show them how that experience made you want to inspire others the way you were inspired.
Yeah, like passing the torch.
Exactly.
Okay, next big one. What is your teaching philosophy? I'm guessing a one-sentence answer I like hands-on learning isn't going to cut it.
No. They want to know what you really believe about how students learn best.
Right.
And what kind of learning environment you're going to create.
Uh-huh.
Don't just list teaching styles, explain the thinking behind your approach.
So if I believe in active learning and connecting theory to real-world problems, I should say WHY. I think that works.
Exactly.
Okay.
I believe students learn best by doing so. I use simulations, case studies, and open-ended projects that make them apply concepts to real situations.
I like that.
Something like that.
So you're really painting a picture of your classroom.
Yeah.
All right, and don't forget, they might follow up with, can you give an example of how you've implemented this philosophy in a past teaching experience?
Oh, yeah. That's where a real story makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Did you change a lab to be more interactive?
Uh-huh.
Did you help a student who is struggling by trying a different approach?
Yeah.
Bring your philosophy to life with a story.
Make it real.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to how do you evaluate student learning and progress? I'm guessing they're not just looking for a list of quizzes and exams.
Nope. They want a well-rounded approach.
Okay.
Mention the traditional stuff, but also highlight projects, presentations, and the feedback you give to help students improve.
So it's not just about grades. It's about using assessment to help students grow.
Exactly. You could say something like, I use different ways to assess learning, but feedback is key. I give detailed comments on assignments. I meet with students one-on-one, and I encourage peer review so they can understand their strengths and where they can improve.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in again.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine practicing your answer and getting personalized feedback on how you say it and what you say.
Right. It's like having a coach helping you be more concise and impactful.
Yeah.
And making sure you're aligned with what the institution values.
Now imagine this follow-up question. How do you use assessment data to tailor your teaching strategies for different learning styles?
Okay.
What are they getting at there?
They want to see that you don't just teach everyone the same way.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you look at quiz results to see what concepts are tripping people up.
Uh-huh.
Or you offer different options for final projects so students can choose what works best for them.
Showing that you're flexible and you want to meet students where they're at. Okay, here's a question that's becoming more and more important. Can you describe a time when you had to adapt your teaching approach to meet the needs of a diverse group of students.
Right. Diversity and inclusion are huge.
Yeah. What kind of answer would really resonate here?
Tell a story that shows you can create an inclusive learning environment.
Okay.
Maybe you had a student with a disability who needed different materials, or a student from another culture who was struggling with certain ideas. Explain how you changed your approach so they had a fair shot at success.
So it's about empathy, flexibility, and a real commitment to student success, no matter their background.
Absolutely. And be prepared for a follow-up, like, what resources or strategies do you rely on to support students from diverse backgrounds?
Okay, so this is where I show I know about support systems and inclusive teaching practices.
Right. You could mention knowing about the university's disability services, your willingness to work with ESL students, or using inclusive language in your materials.
Yeah, making sure everyone feels welcome and supported.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to how do you stay up to date with advances in engineering and technology?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's more than just saying, I read journals.
Oh, yeah. They want to see you're actively learning and growing.
Okay.
Talk about conferences you've been to, online courses, you've taken professional organizations, you're part, even collaborations with experts in the field.
So really showing that you're on top of the latest and greatest.
Exactly. And a great follow-up to this one is, how have you recently integrated emerging technologies or industry trends into your teaching?
Okay. So this is where I get to shine.
Yeah.
Did I redesign a lab experiment to use a new software?
Uh-huh.
Or invite a guest speaker from a cutting-edge company?
Those real-world examples show you're not just keeping up, but bringing those advancements into the classroom.
Yeah, making it relevant for the students.
Exactly.
I'm realizing how important it is to showcase my experience and connect it back to my teaching.
It is, each answer is a chance to paint a picture of yourself as a passionate and engaged educator.
All right, let's talk about building relationships. What do I say when they ask, how do you build relationships with your students? It feels a bit awkward to say, I'm a nice person.
I understand. Instead of focusing on personality traits, highlight specific actions you take.
Okay.
Do you have regular office hours? Do you learn students' names and interests? Do you create chances for collaboration and peer learning?
So really fostering that sense of community.
Yes, and a good follow-up question here is, how do you make yourself accessible to students outside of class time?
Okay, that's a good one.
This shows you're willing to go the extra mile. Mention online office hours, study sessions, or just being responsive to emails and messages.
Little things can make a big difference.
They really can.
Okay, on to a question that's so relevant today. How do you incorporate technology into your teaching?
Right.
It's more than just listing every software program I know, right?
Right. It's about explaining how you use tech to get students engaged and to achieve specific learning goals.
So if I've used simulations to make abstract ideas more real or online platforms for group projects, those are good examples.
Absolutely. And be ready for a follow-up. Like, can you share an example of a successful technology-based learning activity you've designed?
Having a specific example shows I'm not just tech savvy. I can actually design engaging learning experiences.
Yes, and that's what they want to see.
Okay, now let's talk about a tougher question. How do you handle difficult or disruptive students in the classroom?
Right.
This one makes me nervous. I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm doing or that I'll overreact.
It's about showing you're professional and you're committed to creating a good learning environment for everyone.
Yeah.
Focus on de-escalation techniques, your ability to set clear expectations and being fair and respectful.
So instead of telling a story about how I shut down a disruptive student, I should talk about how I calmly address the behavior, reinforce the rules, and maybe even followed up with the student later.
Exactly. And if you do share a story, choose one where you handled the situation well and help the student get back on track.
Yeah, turning a negative into a positive.
Exactly.
What about a follow-up like, have you ever encountered a particularly challenging student situation and how did you resolve it?
That's where you can show your experience and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
Tell a story where you assessed the situation, maybe got advice from someone, and found a solution that worked for the student and the whole class.
A win-win.
Yes.
Okay, final question for this round. Can you describe a time when you collaborated with industry professionals to enhance your teaching?
All right, this one's about showing you can bridge the gap between the classroom and the real world.
Okay.
You're committed to staying relevant and preparing students for what's out there.
So I could talk about a guest speaker. I invited a project I did with industry support or even research that informed my teaching.
Those are all great examples. Highlight how those collaborations made your teaching better and how they helped your students learn.
So it shows I'm not just an academic. I'm connected to the industry, and I'm preparing my students for the real deal. This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm getting a real insider's view of these interview questions.
Good, I'm glad. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI tools can help you refine your answers even further.
It's like having a secret weapon.
In a way, it is.
Now, I know we have a lot more to cover, but
Wow.
for our listeners out there, remember, teaching is a calling.
It is.
If you truly love engineering and you're excited to share that passion with the next generation that's going to come through in your interview.
Absolutely, your passion will shine through.
And now let's move beyond these common questions and explore the different career stages of being an engineering lecturer.
Sounds good.
And we'll see how RoleCatcher's career stage profiles can help you tailor your answers even more.
Let's do it.
All right, let's dive in. So these career stage profiles are pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're like a roadmap showing you the different stages of an engineering lecturer's career. Like you can see where you fit in now and where you might be headed.
Exactly. It's good to have a big picture view.
Yeah.
So let's start with the junior engineering lecturer. At this stage, you're usually focused on supporting senior lecturers, helping with lectures and labs, getting that hands-on experience.
Kind of like an apprenticeship, right?
Yeah, you're learning from the pros.
Yeah.
You'll probably also be involved in research, helping with publications, collaborating on academic projects. It's all about soaking up knowledge and honing those teaching skills.
So if someone's interviewing for a junior engineering lecturer position, they should really showcase that eagerness to learn, right? Their
Right.
willingness to collaborate and their,
Sure.
drive to contribute to the department's research.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your application to highlight those things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, make sure you stand out.
Okay, so let's step up the ladder a bit to assistant engineering lecturer.
Okay.
What changes at this stage?
More independence. You'll be preparing and delivering lectures on your own, developing your own exam materials, and running those lab sessions, making sure everything's safe.
That's a big step up in responsibility.
It is. You're taking ownership.
Yeah.
And you'll be mentoring more, too, guiding research assistants and teaching assistants.
Yeah.
Your research will probably be more independent as well, focused on publishing your own findings.
So for interviews at this level, it's all about highlighting that growing expertise, your ability to work solo, and your experience mentoring others.
Right. You want to show them you're ready for a leadership role.
Okay, time for senior engineering lecturer. What does this stage look like?
Okay, so now you're not just teaching courses, you're shaping the whole curriculum.
Whoa!
Designing new courses, leading teams of teaching assistants and research assistants, and your research gets even more advanced, published in those top-tier journals.
You're having a direct impact on the program.
Exactly. You're becoming a thought leader.
Wow.
Mentoring junior lecturers, collaborating with industry partners, it's a whole new level.
So if someone's interviewing for a senior engineering lecturer position, they need to emphasize leadership, curriculum development, and that track record of high-quality research.
Exactly. And they should show they understand the university's mission and how their work fits into that.
Making that connection is key.
It is.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help here too, right?
Of course.
Imagine practicing your answers and getting feedback, specifically for this institution and this level of seniority.
It's like a custom prep course tailored to your exact needs.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Okay, let's reach the peak principal engineering lecturer, top of the mountain.
This is it, the big one.
Yeah.
You're overseeing the entire engineering curriculum, making sure it's always improving and aligned with what the industry needs. You're building partnerships, leading large teams of lecturers and research staff.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is. It's a highly strategic role.
So what kind of candidate are they looking for at this level?
Someone who's a proven leader, an innovator, someone who can manage a big department and inspire people to achieve ambitious goals.
Someone who can represent the university nationally and internationally, securing grants, presenting at conferences, publishing groundbreaking research.
Exactly. It's a culmination of years of experience, expertise, and passion for engineering education.
It's inspiring to even think about. These career stage profiles from RoleCatcher are so valuable,
Yeah.
not just for understanding career paths, but for tailoring those interview answers.
It's all about aligning your strengths and goals with the specific stage you're interviewing for.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and talk about being an engineering lecturer in general.
Okay.
What are the skills and qualities that are essential for success in this field?
Well, beyond the engineering fundamentals, communication is key.
That makes sense.
You gotta be able to explain complex things clearly to students in lectures and to colleagues in research settings.
So strong presentation skills are a must,
No, absolutely. And don't forget about writing.
right?
Lecture notes, research papers, feedback on assignments. Clear, effective writing is essential.
And working with others is crucial too, right?
Huge collaboration is everywhere in academia.
Yeah.
You'll be working with research assistants, teaching assistants, other faculty industry professionals. Being a team player and navigating those relationships is so important.
It sounds like you need a diverse skill set to thrive as an engineering lecturer.
You do. It's a blend of technical expertise, communication skills, interpersonal skills, and a real passion for teaching and mentoring.
It's a lot, but it sounds so rewarding.
It is. It really is.
Now let's talk about the knowledge base.
Yeah.
What does an engineering lecturer need to know beyond just the technical stuff?
Right. Well, a successful engineering lecturer also needs a solid understanding of how people learn.
Okay.
Different teaching methods, assessment techniques, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about knowing the engineering, it's about knowing how to teach it effectively.
Exactly. And the field of engineering is constantly changing, and so are the best practices in education.
So continuous learning is key.
Absolutely. You have to stay up to date with the latest advancements, not just in engineering, but in teaching methods, educational technology, and the changing needs of students.
It's a lifelong journey of learning and growth.
It really is.
Are there any organizations or resources that can help engineering lecturers with their professional development?
Oh, yeah, there are tons.
Like,
Well, there are professional organizations like the American Society for Engineering Education, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and discipline-specific societies like the American Society of Civil Engineers or the American Institute of Chemical Engineers.
what do those organizations offer?
They offer conferences, workshops, publications, networking opportunities, access to tons of resources and expertise.
That sounds like a great way to connect with other professionals and stay on top of things.
It is. And there are also tons of online resources like journals, research databases, educational platforms. The Occupational Outlook Handbook from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is a good one.
What does that one cover?
It provides information on job outlook, salary expectations, and typical job duties for different occupations, including engineering lecturers.
So that's a good starting point for anyone thinking about this career.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of simply talking to people in the field.
Yeah, networking is always valuable.
Reach out to professors, attend industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn. Those personal connections can give you amazing insights and guidance.
It's about building a network of support and learning from those who've been there before.
Exactly. Now let's be real for a second and talk about the pros and cons of being an engineering lecturer. It's good to have a balanced view.
Okay, what are the best parts?
One of the most rewarding things is the chance to really make a difference in your students' lives.
Oh, yeah.
You get to share your passion, inspire the next generation, see them grow and succeed.
That sounds incredibly fulfilling.
It is. And you also get to be at the forefront of your field, doing research, publishing your findings, contributing to the advancement of knowledge.
And the academic environment itself is pretty stimulating, right?
It is. You're surrounded by brilliant people, constantly learning, pushing boundaries. It's a unique environment.
But it's not all perfect, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the downsides?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is the workload. It's a demanding job. You're juggling teaching, research administrative tasks, mentoring, often with tight deadlines and high expectations.
So not a 9-to-5 kind of gig.
Definitely not. And the competition for those tenure-track positions can be intense, especially at the top universities.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You need to be publishing top-notch research, securing grants, and be an excellent teacher to really stand out.
So you need to be driven and passionate to make it in this field.
You do, and it's worth noting that job prospects can vary depending on your specialty and where you're looking to work.
So do your research network make those connections?
It's all part of the process.
Okay, so we've talked about the overall role. Let's dive into some of the specializations within engineering lecturing.
Sounds good.
It's not just one big category, right?
There are so many different areas you can focus on.
Like what?
Mechanical, civil, electrical, chemical, aerospace, biomedical, just to name a few.
So you can really hone in on what you love.
Exactly. And some universities even have programs in emerging fields like robotics, nanotechnology, sustainable engineering.
It's cool to see how engineering education is evolving.
It is. It's constantly adapting.
So for someone thinking about becoming an engineering lecturer, what are the typical educational pathways?
Usually a master's degree in engineering is the minimum for entry-level positions.
Okay.
But a doctorate is often preferred, especially for those tenure-track roles at research-focused universities.
So a PhD shows that you're serious about research and you can do independent work.
Right. It's a big commitment, but it can lead to better career opportunities and higher earning potential.
Now let's talk about some of the key skills and abilities for success as an engineering lecturer.
Right.
What are the must-haves?
Top of the list, reading comprehension. You need to be able to understand complex technical information quickly and accurately from textbooks, research papers, industry publications.
Makes sense. What about communication skills?
Those are crucial. Strong speaking skills for engaging lectures, facilitating discussions, explaining tough concepts.
And writing goes along with that, right?
Absolutely. Lecture notes exams, research papers, feedback on student work. Clear, concise, compelling writing is a must.
What about the actual act of instructing? What makes a good instructor?
It's more than just delivering information. It's about engaging students, making them love learning, guiding them to a deep understanding of the material.
So creating an interactive and dynamic learning experience.
Exactly. Being able to explain things in different ways, answer questions thoughtfully, provide support to students who are struggling.
And math is a big part of it too, right?
Huge math is fundamental to engineering.
Yeah.
You need to be comfortable using math to solve problems, analyze data, understand those complex engineering principles.
So it's not just being a good teacher, it's also being a master of the subject.
Exactly. And beyond those technical skills, there are a bunch of other abilities that are really important for engineering lectures.
Like what?
Well, learning strategies, for example. You need to be able to choose and use different teaching methods to meet the needs of diverse learners.
So being adaptable and finding what works best for each student.
Right. And active learning is key, too. You want your students to be actively involved, not just sitting there passively.
So interactive lectures, hands-on activities, lots of discussion.
Exactly. And active listening goes along with that. Being able to truly engage with your students, hear their questions, understand their perspective.
That creates a much more supportive environment.
It does. And critical thinking is so important in engineering.
Yeah.
Analyzing information, identifying problems, coming up with creative solutions.
Yeah, and that applies to both research and teaching.
It does. And one last ability I want to mention is monitoring.
Monitoring. Interesting. Why is that so important?
Well, you're responsible for keeping track of your students' progress, both individually and as a group.
Makes sense.
You need to be able to assess their understanding, see where they're struggling, and adjust your teaching accordingly.
So it's about being tuned in to your students' needs and making sure everyone's on the path to success.
Exactly.
This has been such a thorough overview of the engineering lecturer role.
We've only just scratched the surface.
I know there's so much more to explore.
There is.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about transferable skills,
Okay.
especially for those who are transitioning from industry into academia.
Right. A lot of skills from industry translate really well to an academic setting.
Like what?
If you've worked as an engineer, you've probably got strong problem-solving skills, analytical abilities, project management experience.
Those are all super valuable.
They are. And if you've mentored or trained colleagues, that experience is gold in a teaching role.
It's about connecting the dots between your past experience and what's needed as an engineering lecturer.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can actually help you do that. They have a feature that maps your skills to different job roles.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can see where your strengths align.
That's super helpful for anyone thinking about a career change.
It is.
Okay, so let's talk about some related career paths.
All right.
Other options within academia that might be a good fit.
Right. If you love research but not so much teaching, you could be a university research assistant or a research scientist.
Oh, that's a good option.
And if you're all about the students but want to explore a different subject, there are lecturer positions in tons of fields. Economics, medicine, sociology, history, you name it.
Wow, so many possibilities.
And if you're into the administrative side of things, you could be a department chair or a dean.
That's a whole other path.
It is, and RoleCatcher's Career Compass tool can help you navigate all those options.
How does that work?
You can explore different career paths, see where your skills gaps are, even find courses and certifications to help you advance.
It's like having a personal career counselor in your pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about the role itself. Let's talk about some external resources.
Okay.
What else is out there besides RoleCatcher?
Well, there are engineering-specific organizations like the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, the American Geophysical Union, just to name a few.
And what do those organizations do?
They offer networking opportunities, conferences, publications, career resources, all super valuable for anyone in engineering, especially those interested in academia.
What about resources for the teaching side of things?
There are organizations like the American Association of University Professors and Education International. They focus on the rights of educators and advocate for quality education.
It's important to be aware of the bigger picture.
It is, and there's also the UNESCO Institute for Statistics.
What do?
They provide data and analysis on education systems worldwide, including trends in engineering education.
That's helpful for understanding the global context.
And for more specific info on job outlook and salaries for engineering lecturers, check out the Occupational Outlook Handbook from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
It's always good to know what to expect.
Absolutely. And again, don't underestimate the power of networking.
Perfect.
Talk to professors, go to industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn. Those personal connections can be so valuable.
Networking is key. So we've talked about the role, the skills, the resources. Now let's talk about continuous learning and professional development.
Okay.
Engineering and education are constantly evolving, so staying current is crucial.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, what are some strategies?
Conferences and workshops are a great way to learn about the latest advancements network, with people get inspired by new ideas.
And publications.
Keep up with those academic journals and industry publications. They'll keep you informed about current research, emerging trends, new technologies.
And what about online courses and webinars?
Those are great for learning new skills and expanding your knowledge base.
It's like learning never stops.
It shouldn't, and many universities offer professional development opportunities for their faculty.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, workshops on teaching techniques, assessment methods, incorporating technology into the classroom.
So many resources to help you grow as an engineering lecturer.
Tons of them. The more you invest in your own development, the better you'll be as a teacher, researcher, and mentor.
And what about certifications?
Okay, while not always required, certain certifications can boost your credentials and show your expertise in specific areas.
Like what kind of certifications?
While the professional engineer license is a widely recognized credential.
Yeah.
It shows your competence and ethical standards as an engineer.
That's a good one to have.
And there are specialized certifications too, like the Certified Professional in Engineering Management or the Certified Energy Manager. Those can be helpful depending on your focus.
So do your research see what certifications make sense for your goals?
Exactly. And some universities might have their own internal certifications or programs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that can enhance your teaching skills and credentials.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But before we move on, let's talk about how to showcase your abilities during the interview process.
Okay, good idea.
How can you really impress them?
One way is to create a portfolio.
Oh, a portfolio.
Yeah, showcasing your engineering projects, research work, publications, presentations.
That's a great way to show concrete evidence of your skills.
It is, and if you've presented at conferences or symposiums, definitely mention that.
Yeah, it shows you can communicate your ideas to a professional audience.
And nowadays, having a good online presence is crucial.
So a professional website or a strong LinkedIn profile.
Exactly. It lets potential employers learn more about you.
It's like a 247 digital resume.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about networking.
All right.
It's so important in academia.
It is. Going to engineering conferences is a great way to meet people, learn about new research, and maybe even connect with potential employers.
And joining professional associations.
Yeah, they can give you access to networking events, career resources, mentorship opportunities.
Don't forget about online communities, too.
Oh, yeah. Online forums and communities are great for connecting with others, sharing ideas, and staying informed about industry trends.
In reaching out to alumni.
That's a good one. They can offer insights into the job market, give you advice, and maybe even open doors to new opportunities.
It's all about building those connections.
It is. And don't forget about building relationships with your fellow students and professors.
Yeah, that's important too.
Those connections can lead to collaborations, research opportunities, valuable mentorship.
It's all about creating a strong network within the engineering community.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered so much valuable information.
We have.
But before we move on to the final part, I want to highlight one more resource from RoleCatcher.
Okay, what's that?
Their Engineering Lecturer FAQs section.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It answers common questions about the role in a clear and concise way based on expertise and research.
Like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, they cover everything from the main responsibilities to the daily tasks and challenges.
They even talk about how to engage and support students, the importance of research, collaborating with colleagues.
It's a goldmine of information to help you really understand the role and prepare for your interview.
It is.
So as we wrap up this part of the deep dive, we've explored the engineering lecturer role in depth, the responsibilities, career paths, skills, knowledge, continuous learning networking.
We've highlighted the resources from RoleCatcher, those AI-powered tools, career guides, interview prep materials.
They offer so much to support your journey.
They do.
Now, in the final part, we'll get into specific interview questions and strategies for crafting great answers.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, so it's game time. We've laid the groundwork, explored what it means to be an engineering lecturer, and now it's time to tackle those interview questions.
Yeah, you've got the knowledge. Now let's polish those answers.
Right.
Remember, every question is a chance to show them your passion, your expertise, what you bring to the table.
Let's revisit that classic opener. What inspired you to pursue a career in engineering lecturing? I feel like there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, for sure. Instead of just listing reasons, tell a story, a compelling one that captures those key experiences, the aha moments that led you here.
Okay, so instead of saying, I've always loved engineering,
Mm.
I could talk about a specific project that sparked my passion.
Exactly. Maybe you are on a team that designed a solar-powered car, and that challenge of applying theory to a real problem hooked you. Or maybe you discovered you loved mentoring while tutoring classmates.
Make it personal.
Yes, make it memorable.
Now, what about the follow-up? Was there a particular mentor or professor who influenced your decision? What makes an answer really stand out there?
Share a story about how that mentor or professor went beyond just teaching. Maybe they encouraged you to research, pushed you to think differently, opened doors to internships. Show how their guidance made you passionate about both engineering and teaching.
Yeah, like they lit a fire in you.
Exactly.
Okay, next up, what is your teaching philosophy? This one always feels a bit daunting to me.
I get it. Think of it as your educational compass. What are your core beliefs about how students learn best?
Okay.
Do you prioritize active learning, problem solving, a collaborative classroom? Once you know those core values, explain why you believe in them.
So if I'm all about connecting theory to real-world applications, I shouldn't just state that I should explain why that connection is so important for students.
Precisely. You could say, I believe engineering concepts come alive when students see how they apply to the real world. So I use case studies, industry guest speakers, design projects that address current challenges.
I like that. And then comes the follow-up. Can you give an example of how you've implemented this philosophy in a past teaching experience?
This is where a concrete example adds weight to your words.
Okay.
Did you revamp a lab to be more hands-on? Did you create a group activity that challenged students to work together and find a solution?
Bring it to life with a story.
Exactly.
All right, on to how do you evaluate student learning and progress? I'm sensing a theme here. They want more than just superficial answers.
Oh, definitely. They want a well-rounded approach.
So traditional methods like exams and quizzes are important, but...
Yes, but also highlight your willingness to go beyond that.
Okay, so projects, presentations, lab reports, and giving feedback that helps students grow.
You got it. You could say, I use a variety of assessment methods, but feedback is crucial. I provide detailed comments, I meet with students one-on-one, and I encourage peer review to help them develop their critical thinking and communication skills.
It's about the whole package.
It is.
Okay, let's tackle that question about adapting your teaching approach for diverse groups of students. It feels especially important today with the focus on inclusion.
It's essential. They want to see that you're not just a good teacher, but an inclusive one.
So I should share a specific story that shows how I've adapted my teaching to meet the needs of individual students.
Exactly. Maybe you had a student with a disability who needed alternative materials, or a student from another culture who was struggling with certain concepts. Explain how you created an equitable learning environment for them.
And what about the follow-up? What resources or strategies do you rely on to support students from diverse backgrounds?
This is where you demonstrate your knowledge of support systems and inclusive teaching practices. Mention your willingness to work with ESL students, your knowledge of disability services, your use of inclusive language in your materials.
It's about making sure everyone feels welcome and supported.
Exactly.
Okay, on to professional development. How do you stay up to date with advances in engineering and technology? How do I show I'm truly passionate about continuous learning?
Go beyond just reading journals. Talk about attending conferences where they're presenting cutting-edge research, participating in online forums where experts share insights, taking online courses to learn new skills.
Show them you're actively seeking out knowledge.
Yes, and be ready for the follow-up. How have you recently integrated emerging technologies or industry trends into your teaching?
So this is where I can really shine.
Exactly. Did you add a new software tool to your curriculum? Did you invite a guest speaker from a leading tech company?
Those examples show I'm not just keeping up, I'm bringing those advancements to my students.
Right, making it relevant for them.
Okay, let's talk about building relationships. When they ask, how do you build relationships with your students? It's not about bragging or being sentimental, right?
Right, it's about actions. Focus on specific things you do to foster those connections.
Okay, so regular office hours, making an effort to learn students' names and interests, creating opportunities for collaboration.
All great examples. And be prepared for how do you make yourself accessible to students outside of class time?
It's a good one.
You could mention online office hours, study sessions, or even just being responsive to emails. Those small things go a long way.
Okay, how about how do you incorporate technology into your teaching? It's more than just knowing a bunch of software programs.
It is. You need to show a thoughtful approach to using technology to enhance learning.
So if I've used simulations to make abstract concepts more concrete or online platforms for group work, those are good examples.
Absolutely. And be ready for a follow-up. Like, can you share an example of a successful technology-based learning activity you've designed?
Having a specific example ready shows I can design engaging learning experiences.
Yes, and that's what they're looking for.
Okay, time for a tougher one. How do you handle difficult or disruptive students in the classroom?
This one can be tricky. You want to show you can maintain a positive learning environment while addressing disruptive behavior.
So focus on de-escalation techniques, setting clear expectations, being fair and respectful.
Exactly. And if you share a story, choose one where you handled the situation well and help the student get back on track.
Turn it into a positive.
Yes.
What about a follow-up? Like, have you ever encountered a particularly challenging student's situation, and how did you resolve it?
This is where you can show your experience and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
Share a story where you assessed the situation, maybe sought advice and found a solution that worked for everyone involved.
A win-win situation.
Exactly.
Last question. Can you describe a time when you collaborated with industry professionals to enhance your teaching?
This is your chance to highlight those real-world connections.
Okay.
Show how you bridge the gap between academia and the industry.
So I could talk about a guest speaker, an industry-sponsored project research that informed my teaching.
Those are all great examples. Highlight the positive impact those collaborations had on your teaching and your students.
So it shows I'm not just an academic, I'm connected to the industry, and I'm preparing my students for what's out there.
Exactly. You're showing them you're invested in the real world.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. I feel much more prepared to tackle those engineering lecturer interviews.
Good. I'm glad. Remember, confidence is key. You've got the knowledge, the experience, and the passion. Let that shine through.
And to all our listeners out there, remember, teaching is a calling. If you're passionate about engineering and excited to share that with the next generation, go for it. Your passion will make all the difference.
Best of luck with your interviews. We're rooting for you.